Valid is like an emotional experience that happened to me that got me interested in the field of paranormal investigation. As part of that, I ended up building a team, NT Paranormal. We're based out of Fort Worth. And my team is made up of medical professionals. We have a nurse. We have somebody that's a former EMT. We have people that are trained in psychology. We have a forensic photographer. And then myself, and then we have somebody that is a professional photographer, videographer, knows a lot about multimedia. I do as well, and like I said, I have a background in physics. So everything that we do, all of our studies, we do so from the angle of we're trying to find scientifically valid evidence to support the idea that paranormal events actually happen, that they're valid. We pride ourselves on being very objective in our studies. Meaning that even though we think emotions and experiences are valid, they don't stand on their own as credible evidence as far as making a case for paranormal events that happen. We've done, it says 50 plus individual cases. I've actually lost count. We've probably done like 75, 80 cases at this point. But when I say that we've done 75 cases, that means we've done multiple trips to these houses. We have done long-term investigations where we go back over and over because the point of an objective scientific investigation is repeatable data. What we're looking for is correlations, similarities, and data that pops up over and over and over that we can go back and compare, and we can point to it and say, hey, this is actually a valid thing that happens, this is how you measure it, this is how it interacts with the environment. So even though 75 cases doesn't sound like a lot, that's like a couple of thousand trips into the same areas, because what we're looking for is things that repeat. And like we'll find evidence and things like that all the time, and then figure out what it is at a later date or find something new. I think that's a very important part of the scientific process is repeatable experiments, repeatable setups to see what happens over and over again. So I'm not going to bore you guys with a bunch of formulas, and I'm going to talk about some evidence in this that we've caught that we think has scientific validity. Now, when I say scientific validity, that means we are on the right track to reproducing these experiments and finding commonalities. When I say scientific validity, I do not mean proof. I just mean we are on the way for it, because there is nothing that proves any kind of paranormal anything at the scientific level, not yet. But that is a goal that we eventually are trying to get to. So the scientific principles that we use is, first, we identify experiences and events that could possibly be explained as paranormal. So that's your grandma's calling us up and saying, my dishes are moving on their own, I need somebody to check it out. And we're like, okay, we're there. We love dishes that move on their own. That's awesome. It can be recorded with video. Anything we can record with video or capture in photography is great, because it's visual evidence. All the other stuff is kind of circumstantial, but I'll get to that in a minute. The second step is we research the area, we investigate it. We do the history and things like that, but we don't necessarily tie past events that have happened on a property or deaths on the property necessarily to the paranormal things that are happening. There are different types of paranormal events. There are different things that can cause paranormal events, and sometimes those things are caused by the living. Sometimes those things could possibly be caused by the dead, by certain theories, and sometimes those things could maybe be caused by interdimensional beings from outer space. Who knows? We don't know. That's kind of the point of all of this, is we're trying to find out what that is. So we go in, we do these investigations, we get all this data together, and then we try to prune out everything that can be explained, first off. And we do it hardcore, more hardcore than any other group I've ever seen. They hate us because we're like, no, you can't prove that, and they're like, we don't like you anymore. But we still end up with, at the end of the day, there is a small fruit bowl of really juicy paranormal activity that is worth getting into sometimes. And so we test the crap out of that inconclusive data. Inconclusive data is what we are looking for, and we try to make it conclusive, and we hope it's a ghost. That would be awesome. A lot of times it turns out we're just idiots and didn't experiment wrong. That's kind of how the whole thing goes. It's really boring. It's sitting in a room for 12 hours talking to nobody, and people are really surprised that, that's how that goes. They get really bored. We try to test similar experiences that other people have had. We record all the data. We try to find commonalities between it to see if subject X's experience was just like subject Y's experience. What was different about it? What was the same about it? Because if we can figure that out, we can figure out what the triggers are that actually allow paranormal activity to happen, whether that's the moon's in a certain phase, or the atoms in this room are ionized to, 0.3 degrees. Physics stuff, don't worry about it. We collect all that data, we put it together. So it's a lot of paperwork. Sorry, that's just what it is. And then the last step that we do, and this is the most important step, and it's not happening enough, is we share that data with other people that are also paranormal investigators. Now, they may not do things the same as us. They may not like the way that we do things, but we still share all that data. We put it all out there, completely unedited videos, along with, the really interesting ones you want to watch that are just the clips of, grandma's dishes moved across the counter, whatever. But we share that because the only way that we are going to build a better collection of data to correlate between is to share that data. Okay, so there's a few areas of expertise that my team really digs into, and we do things a little bit different than others. I'm sure everybody in this room already knows what electronic voice phenomenon is, and I can probably skip this slide. Does anybody not know what that is? An EVP? Yeah, it's ghost voices. Okay, we're good. So we're going to talk about some EVPs we captured here in a second, but I need to give you a quick rundown on the properties of sound waves, because this is very important to what I'm about to tell you about why these EVPs are better than your EVPs. I'm just kidding, they're not better. There's just more stuff involved with it, okay? So sound waves can be measured. Sound is a force. It travels in waves. Sound can move things. It's that big of a force. There's amplitude, there's wavelength, and you can measure the frequency of a sound this way. And I got a really cool equation down here. Can anybody read that? No, nobody cares. I put that in for my own benefit. So, okay, why is it important that we care about the frequencies of sound waves? Because the range of human hearing is between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz, which is 20 kilohertz, right? So there's a whole bunch of sound out there happening all the time. You can only hear a certain bit of it, right? So your dog can hear things you can't hear. Bats can hear echolocation, you can't hear it. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that concept. So there's a certain range that the human ear can pick up. Things that are on the low end, these are called ultrasound. These are below 20 hertz. This is below the range that your brain can correctly interpret that you're hearing sound. The really crazy thing about that is infrasound still vibrates the bones in your ear physically. So your brain still gets a signal that sound is happening, even though you can't hear it. You don't realize it, but that is a very disturbing feeling. That it causes feelings of paranoia, it causes feelings of sickness. You've probably heard of people talk about experiments with the fear frequency that's between 15 and 17 hertz. Prolonged exposure to ultrasound, I'm telling you about infrasound. It says ultrasound up there, just bear with me. So infrasound is the low end of the spectrum. And prolonged exposure to that can cause feelings of sickness, paranoia, dread, things like that. It can even cause depression. Ultrasound is the high end of the spectrum. Everybody's probably familiar with ultrasound because of the medical benefits of using it for, ultrasounds, looking at your baby, radar, echolocation, things like that. Prolonged exposure to that will give you migraines, headaches. It can also make you feel nauseous. Not so much the feelings of paranoia, so much that one hasn't been proven. Like I said, I was talking about infrasound. It still vibrates the eardrum. It causes dread, paranoia, anxiety, and tension. They have proven this in UCLA and Harvard test studies. They put people in like a soundproof room. They bombard them with infrasound while they're blindfolded, and they have these like profound paranormal experiences, or what they perceive as paranormal experiences. The other really awesome thing that they have found, I guess I didn't have a slide for it. So I was talking about that fear frequency between 15 and 17 hertz. There is a certain vibration of sound that will vibrate the fluid in your eyeballs and cause you to see shadows. Not as a hallucination, you will see shadows, but it's the fluid in your eyeballs. That's caused by infrasound. You can't hear it happening. It's really crazy. I've experienced it. You think you're going nuts, you're not. It's a thing that happens. Okay, last little science bit before I get into the cool stuff and start playing EVPs for you on my EVP section. The range of human speech, and this is probably the most important part of the study that we're doing because this is how we are weeding out the false positives. Like I said, the range of hearing is 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. I'm probably saying that wrong. To 20 kilohertz. 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. The range of the human vocal cords is 85 hertz to 255. It goes into bigger ranges when like you're singing, but you're not making these like deliberate speech sounds like I'm doing now. Like when I'm talking right now, it's never going to dip below a certain amount. It's never going to go above a certain amount. The limits of that range have gone all the way as far down as to 70 hertz on the low end and 660 hertz at the high end. That's like a soprano 9. That's like what breaks glass. People can do it, but it doesn't sound like somebody talking in your microphone, right? So the reason that's important is because I made a graph for you. So you have the whole range of human hearing and everything that's inside and outside of it. Everything that falls into the range of human speech, we throw away. That doesn't mean we don't think that there's valid EVPs in that area, but there's no way to prove at a scientific scale that we're not contaminating it. It could be somebody outside talking, it could be us, it could be anything. It could also be a ghost, but we have no way to prove that. So what we look for is EVPs that happen in the sub-range and the above range of what human speech can generate, and we look for words. Because if humans can only generate words in a certain range, and we're still getting words and phrases outside of that range, what's causing that? Now, I can't say that's a ghost, but I can say that it's not human, because we know human vocal cords aren't doing it, right? Can we all agree on that, at least? Awesome. So, that gets us to here. I have 3 really good clips here of some really what we think are clear EVPs. What's more important is other people think they're very clear EVPs. Everybody hears the same words. We've ruled out pareidolia on most of them, or on all of them, because when you play something for like 1,000 people and everybody still hears the same thing, you can start to rule that out. Pareidolia is very prevalent in this field, and people will just make words out of nothing. We know that's a thing, and this could be pareidolia, but on a panel of 1,000 people, everybody said the same thing, so that's awesome. So let me try to play these. This first one, and I'm not going to tell you what they say first, because if I tell you what people think they hear, it influences what you hear, and you'll never hear anything else. So I'm going to play each one like a few times before I reveal it, okay? The first one was captured at a place called Kyle Bullard Cemetery, also Ham Creek. It's over in Rio Vista. It's got a really sordid past. I'm not going to tell you that past because it would take way too much time, but I wrote a book. I'll tell you about that later. This one was recorded at 31 hertz, which is well below what... Oh, you'll also notice I only have one of these that's an infrasound. One of these that's ultrasound. Most of the EVPs we capture seem to be in the lower sound register, not upper. But anyway, this one was captured at 31 hertz and still sounds like speech.
If you want us to close the gate when we leave, make the car go twice.
Okay, I forgot how confusing that was. Okay, so my assistant with me, Eli, we were having problems with the car that was parked nearby. My car alarm kept going off for no reason. That could be mechanical error, whatever, but we were like, let's go check it out. And so we were saying, okay, if there's something here doing it, make the car go off. And you'll hear these 3 clicks, and what that is you're actually hearing the RF signal from my key fob. And it seems like it's setting it off, but it's totally random, and it's weird that the recorder picks that up. But that's in the infrasound category, like it's way below, and we can hear it when we boost the audio. You'll hear the car click, and then after that, you will hear a really deep, very, very clear voice. So I'll play it a couple of times.
Make the car go twice.
Sorry, I tried to play like multiple at the same time. Do y'all want me to try to turn that up and play it one more time, or did everybody hear it? No? Okay. Y'all hear that real deep kind of voice in the back? So I'll play it again. Almost everybody that listens to it in a clean environment, there's a lot of background noise and we listen to these things on really good headphones. Everybody that listens to it that way hears the phrase, "go back now." I'll turn it up a little bit. I don't want to blast everybody out. And keep in mind, that phrase, that's at 31 hertz. There's no way we can fake that. Like, even if I went back into the recording and recorded me doing that to, like, try to fool you, the problem is on a spectrometer, that's lower than what even I can do. Like, I'm a baritone, even a bass can't do it at 31 hertz and make it that clear. You didn't push the button there. Alright, so I'll move on to the next one. The next one is a new one we've got. We haven't even posted it on our website yet. It's taken at the U.S. Helium Plant number 1, Fort Worth, Texas, which has a really cool backstory about it, which I'm happy to talk to anybody about. It's the first helium plant in Fort Worth, Texas. It was like a top secret military base for a long time. And now it's run as Hangman's House of Horrors Haunted House off of Blue Mountain Road. And in this clip, we were actually wrapping up for the night, and I was just recording, and we got this really cool sounding EVP. Now, like with the first EVP, we only caught it on the recorder, like we didn't hear it at the time. This one, in the video, I'm sitting there, and we're actually like getting ready to do an EVP session. Eli's not even recording on the recorder yet. I just have the camera on him. And at the very beginning, from the get-go, you just hear this like somebody talking, and then he turns to me and he goes, "Was that you?" Because he felt breath like on the back of his neck while it was happening, and we're the only ones in the building. I'll go ahead and play it. But this was at 57 hertz, which is it's a little bit higher in the register, but it's still below that 70 hertz threshold of what human vocal cords can make speech at.
Was that you? Was that you?
Can you all hear that all right? Anybody got a guess as to what they think it says? Not ready yet? See, that's a different one. And like I said, this is a new one. We haven't played it for a ton of people yet, but my group and about 50 other people here, what did I do? I'll play it again and see, you're contaminated now, but everybody will probably hear the same thing now.
Was that you? Was that?
Are you getting that yet, or I don't know?
I'm still contaminated.
You're still okay. And then for the sake of time, I'll move on to the third one. This one was taken at the Arlington Visitor Center when it was still the Arlington Visitor Center. It used to be the old Arlington Downs track. In this clip, it's actually just me in this part of the building. There's like a full downstairs. It's not quite a basement. It's like a split level. But I'm by myself and everybody else is upstairs. And I'm kind of talking to myself because this is like real early on in our studies, so I'm a little jumpy. And I was like, okay, I'm the only one in here, and I closed the door behind me. And there's just this really clear, feminine sounding voice. And this is one of the only ones that we've got in a register higher than what human speech usually turns up in. What is that? Close the door. That's what everybody hears. I really like that EVP because I'm the only male in that building at the time. It very, very much sounds feminine. I'm by myself. or I'm sorry, I'm the only male in that part of the building at the time. I'm in a room that's totally closed off by myself, and it sounds like a female. So much to the point, like you can hear like the throat sounds of somebody talking, like close the door, like somebody doing ASMR. It's just really, really clear. It's concise. Like you're in this big noisy room and you hear the same thing everybody else does. That's actually pretty brilliant. I'm impressed. Go me. Okay, so I'm going to go on to more of the visual stuff. So the second part that we specialize in is mono-wavelength photography. This is an experiment that my group came up with because we kept getting in arguments with other ghost groups. And everybody wants to show me their orb photos and I want to hurt them. Don't show me orb photos unless you're actually using this experiment, because I will debunk it almost every single time. That's not to say that orbs might not be I'll get to the punchline in a minute. I don't want to totally ruin it for you, because I thought I was really smart coming up with this, and then we proved a thing. Orb photos could be a thing. It could be. Okay, I'm on the record for saying that. But with your photograph, you're not proving it because you are not photographing it right. So the definition of an orb is, a ball of energy that's moving through the room. Well, energy is going to produce its own light. That's what people are saying is, okay, I took a picture of this thing that was like a ball of light that was going through. But I hate to tell you, it's all backscatter. Every picture you guys have ever shown me, it's dust. I'm sorry. That's how it is. But we kept getting in arguments with people, and they said, well, prove it's not an orb. And I was like, well, crap, I can't. Okay, what do I do? I was like, okay, I can do science. Let's figure this out. So I came up with this controlled experiment. It's called mono-wavelength photography, where we control all the light in an area. It has to be done in a dark room. So if you ever have the question, hey, why do they, investigate in the dark like everybody else? It's because we are controlling light waves. We need no contamination in there. So here's an example of a regular, I feel like these slides are out of order. This is an example of an orb. It's pollen, okay? It's not grandma, it's pollen. The way photography works, the way light works, the way you see things, is light bounces off of stuff. Visible light bounces off of things, and whatever color isn't absorbed by that object gets bounced back into your retinas, into your skull, and you see color. So if it's black, that means it absorbs all colors. If it's white, that means it reflects all colors. If it's red, that means it absorbs everything but red. You follow along? Okay. So using that principle, what we do is we turn off all lights. It has to be done at night. It works best in closed rooms. You can do it outside. I don't recommend it, but it has to be like a moonless, cloudy night. You cannot have any kind of light bleed contamination, just like EVPs. You can't have people walking around. If you're doing this experiment, you can't have other people wandering around with a flashlight. It doesn't work because it introduces extra light sources. What we do is we use different colored flashes that are tuned to certain wavelengths of light. So just to be really simple, we'll use a red flash, a yellow flash, and a blue flash. And we do them all in succession in a room that doesn't have any light in it. What this does is it only provides one color of available light to be reflected back to you. So if there is dust in the air, if there is a moth flying through there, if there's something physical in there that is bouncing light back to that camera, it will appear the same color as the type of light that we're using. The idea is if you're capturing an orb of energy, it's producing its own light, and it will produce its own light and basically contaminate what you're doing. Everything will be red except for that orb, unless it's a red orb. That's why we use multiple colors over different slides. So sometimes if you're using a red slide, if you get a red orb, sorry, it looks like dust, and that's probably what I think, but then when you switch to the yellow slide and you do the same thing and you get a red orb back, bingo. It's something different. It's using a color of light that you are not providing, which is physically impossible. So this is an example of dust under mono-wavelength photography. You can see red orb. We're using red light. You get a red orb back. This is orbs, tons of orbs. This place is so haunted. No, it's just really dusty. It's a ton of backscatter. I thought I was really smart. I disproved every orb on the planet, and I argued with every other team on the planet, and they're just like, we hate you, this sucks. And after, I got published in Popular Mechanics for this experiment, actually. They're like, this guy's really smart. I was really patting myself on the back. And we'll skip through all this. I'll just get to the picture. Basically, long story short, we were doing this experiment, and I got an actual orb. So right here, you can see a little bit of backscatter, and it's red. But over here in the corner, for some reason, we're heading towards the light, and there was no light there that anybody saw. If you put it under a spectroscope, it's yellow, it's green, there's blue in it. It's absolutely every color that we did not have present on that experiment at that time. This is anomalous data. This is exactly what we're looking for. Now, I'm going to pause for a second and say this doesn't prove jack crap. Because the only way you prove things in science is to be able to repeat it. We have never, ever been able to legitimately repeat it without purposely contaminating the experiment. It's very possible this is somehow infrared contamination, because that's non-visible light that might be bleeding into the picture, but we did not have any infrared light sources at that time. So if it is some kind of light bleed, it's a natural phenomenon, which would also pretty much fall under the paranormal category. So it's a really cool picture, and if everybody would start doing this experiment for me, I would really love to see more orb pictures like this, so I can go, oh, that's repeated now. Because if it's a 1 in a million thing, it's not going to happen to us again, probably, but I keep trying. It has not happened yet. Oh, I drew an arrow for you. Can y'all tell I'm really good at this? Okay, another thing we do, that's the super science stuff. Probably everybody that's done paranormal investigation does sequence photography for obvious reasons. You want to know what it looked like before, after, you want to catch it while it's happening, you want to frame a reference. I had some really good luck with sequence photography. No, Allie caught this one. I was about to give you credit for a picture you didn't take. So I think the first one, this one happened at Great House Bridge, which is in Maypearl, Texas. And this happened over a sequence of photographs. I want to note that this happened during the daytime. Everybody complains, what do ghost hunters always do everything at night? We don't. In fact, the best evidence we capture is always during the daytime, and everybody's like, why don't you do it at night? I'm like, people are never happy. So keep your eye on, whoops, I hit a button I shouldn't have. In this little area right here. So I don't know how good the light is in here, but there's a bridge right here. We're standing in a creek. Our forensic photographer is taking pictures, canvassing the area. I think she's like knee deep in mud. She's really pissed at me, and I'm like, no, you need to take 12 pictures. That's how we do it. Just fine, whatever. Well, in the next picture, you can see she shifted a little bit because she's sinking and afraid of quicksand. That's important to the story. You can see in that same spot, there's a very prominent shadow that shows up. I really like that one. I can't say that it's necessarily paranormal. I have to put this disclaimer on everything. But we did not find a meth-riddled shadow kid hanging out at the bridge that day. But everybody sees like a kid that's in like overalls and like a hat. Everybody's like, oh, that's a kid from the 1930s. So in the sake of being super scientific, we went back to go see how tall that thing was. So we positioned ourselves in the same area, took a picture, and had Eli stand out there, who is 5'9". And I didn't get the sequences lined up right, but basically it's 5.5 feet tall, whatever it is. If you line everything all up perfect and you put it side by side, it's a little bit bigger than what you would think a kid would be. It's real deceiving, kind of the angle we took. It looks so much better here from there. But I really like that. I really like that sequence. And the reason we were investigating there was not because anybody told us it was haunted. One of our investigators had an experience there early on in his life that scared the crap out of him. And I was like, well, we investigate this stuff now. Let's go do it. And he's like, I don't want to go back. And then we did. And we got this. And then I made him stand on a bridge. I really like this sequence of photos. It's a sequence of 4. These were taken in Jefferson, Texas. We actually weren't investigating this building at the time. We just kind of stuck our head in. But the building was completely empty. And what's really cool is Allie Bolton was doing a rapid shot with like just a regular off-the-shelf camera. So it's not like a weird spectrum. There's nothing special about it. It's just pictures with a flash. And I've got enhanced versions too. But pay attention to, you can see these door lights in the back of the room. They're real bright. And over the course of just like a second, all of a sudden, one of them is covered. Then like 1 3/4 of them are covered. And then something scared the crap out of her. And she ran out of the room. So something's in there. And then we all went in there. There's nothing in there. And I know it's dark photos, so we had them enhanced, and you can see the room a little bit better, and you can see that there is absolutely nothing in that room, because we thought maybe somebody was in there and we didn't know it, and they stood up and it was a silhouette or something like that. So we had them professionally enhanced. That's when we got a professional photographer on our team. And the sequence is still really startling because there is no form to it. It's not like, oh, you got a shadow person. There's just like a black mass that goes over it. And it's kind of freaky. I mean, it wasn't a negative experience. Nobody got attacked or anything like that. But, stuff like that kind of scares you. And then the last shot is just completely covered. A couple of times I've shown this at cons before, and a very smart gentleman said, well, somebody walked behind the window to block the light. And I was like, oh, I need to do more research. Apparently I don't know what I'm talking about. But then I discovered this really awesome thing here, is that you can see the reflection, or you can see the light cast on the wall right here from the window. And as something's moving in front of it, you can still see that light cast on the wall, which means something had to move in front of it, not behind it, or it would have blocked the light from coming into the room, not blocked the light between the window and the camera. So that proved that there was something physically there that was blocking light to the camera. That's really exciting to us, because what we were looking for is physical, objective evidence of paranormal events, because we feel like if something can interact with our environment, like if it can push you, it can move something, it can make voices and talk to you, like that takes vocal cords and hands and stuff like that. This happens to people when there's nobody around. So that means it has to interact with our physical environment somehow. And the real goal is to try to find the mechanics by which this happens. How does it physically interact? Because we know energy can move things and push things and stuff like that. But we need to know, but energy doesn't just spontaneously happen. Energy is a constant, and it may decay, or it may man, I lost my word there. It's not spontaneous. Energy is always there. It kind of moves things around. And we want to know the mechanic by which that happens, especially in things that seem like they're intelligent, and residual and stuff like that. And that can be proven with actual science by measuring environmental changes, what's going on in a location, the things around it, because you can't actually measure what a ghost is, because we don't know what that is. So I'm going to stop rambling, but anyway, I do have a book you can get on Amazon that talks about all this stuff and more, and it has scientific equations in it, if that's what blows your skirt up. You're welcome to buy that. It's super cheap. I don't make anything off of it. We do have a show on Amazon that's only like 2 episodes right now, where we've gone in and done some investigations, and we do a podcast every other week where we talk about different scientific principles. And we also like to make fun of ourselves, because we also realize we talk to dead people unsuccessfully. Anybody got any questions, comments, concerns? Did you hate the show? You can tell me that, so I can take it. Okay. All right. Thank everybody for coming out and seeing me.